This cheese is considered a delicacy. It comes from sheep's milk, aged for months, and then intentionally left to rot. Not with mold, not with bacteria, but with live maggots. And somehow, it's still eaten. This is Casu Marzu, a traditional cheese from the Italian island of Sardinia, often described as one of the most dangerous foods in the world. At first, it begins like many other traditional cheeses in the region. Fresh sheep's milk is transformed into pecorino, pressed into wheels, salted, and left to age. Everything up to this point follows centuries-old methods that are widely accepted and legally produced across Italy. But Casu Marzu is not finished when pecorino is ready. Instead, the aging process is deliberately pushed beyond what most cultures would ever allow. The rind of the cheese is cracked open or partially removed, and the wheel is left exposed to the open air. This allows a specific species of fly, known as Pyophila caseae, to lay its eggs directly inside the cheese. When the eggs hatch, the larvae begin feeding on it. As they eat, they break down the fats and proteins at an extreme level, far beyond normal fermentation. The structure of the cheese collapses from the inside. What was once firm becomes soft, almost spreadable. A strong-smelling liquid begins to seep out, a byproduct of this advanced breakdown, known locally as the lagrima, or the tear of the cheese. In Sardinian tradition, this stage is not a sign of failure. It is the goal. This is when Casu Marzu is considered ready to eat. Traditionally, the cheese is consumed while the larvae are still alive. In fact, many locals believe that if the maggots are dead, the cheese is no longer safe. Alive means the process is active. Dead suggests the cheese has gone too far. This practice is exactly what makes Casu Marzu illegal in most countries today. Food safety authorities across the European Union classify it as hazardous. The larvae are known to be resistant to stomach acid, and although serious cases are rare, there have been documented medical concerns related to intestinal myiasis, a condition where fly larvae survive inside the digestive tract. Beyond the biological risk, there is also the issue of regulation. Casu Marzu cannot be produced under standardized hygiene controls. There is no way to ensure consistency, cleanliness, or safety at scale. From a legal standpoint, it fails to meet the basic definition of food. It is officially categorized as contamination. Because of this, the sale of Casu Marzu has been banned for decades, and producers can face heavy fines if caught selling it openly. Yet despite the ban, Casu Marzu never truly disappeared. In Sardinia, it continues to exist quietly, passed from hand to hand rather than sold in shops. It is often shared privately among families, friends, and at special gatherings such as weddings or festivals. For many Sardinians, Casu Marzu is not about shock value or luxury. It is about continuity, a link to a rural past where food was preserved using whatever methods were available, long before modern refrigeration or food laws existed. There are different ways people choose to eat it. Some remove the larvae before consuming the cheese. Others eat it exactly as it is. The larvae themselves are capable of jumping significant distances when disturbed, so experienced eaters often cover the cheese with their hands or bread while eating. This is not done for spectacle, but practicality. Those who grew up with the cheese describe the flavor as extremely strong, sharp, and persistent, far more intense than standard pecorino. It is often eaten in small amounts, spread on flatbread, accompanied by strong local wine. Outside Sardinia, Casu Marzu is frequently labeled as disgusting or grotesque. Inside the island, it is seen as misunderstood. Many locals view the ban not as a public health measure, but as an attack on cultural identity. To them, Casu Marzu represents knowledge passed down through generations, made on farms and in villages, where modern food laws feel distant and imposed. This tension between tradition and regulation raises a broader question about how food is defined and controlled. Around the world, many traditional foods were once considered unsafe or unacceptable until they were studied, regulated, or rebranded. Casu Marzu exists in a gray area where culture, science, and legality collide. It is not expensive because of rare ingredients or elaborate techniques. It is expensive because of risk, because it cannot be sold openly, because finding it requires trust, connection, and discretion, and because eating it feels like crossing an invisible boundary between what is allowed and what is forbidden. Casu Marzu has been called a delicacy, a biohazard, and a symbol of resistance. Against modern food systems, it has survived bans, criticism, and global scrutiny, and it continues to be eaten quietly by those who believe it should never have been outlawed in the first place. Knowing how it's made, knowing why it's illegal, knowing the risks involved, would you actually try it?